Hi, this is Ed Lawrence with Colliers International, and it's time for our next interview for this quarter's Colliers International Life Sciences newsletter. And I'm fortunate to be able to share some time with Alethea Wieland, who is the president and founder of Clinical Research Strategies, which is located here in Pittsburgh. Alethea, thank you so much for your time today.
It's great to be here, Ed. Thank you so much for the invitation.
You bet. Yeah, we really appreciate it. And I thought it might make sense if you wanted to start off and kick things off by giving some information about your professional and personal background and tell us about clinical research strategies and how you help your clients.
Absolutely. So, Clinical Research Strategies is a contract research organization and life sciences executive management consultancy for small, mid-size, and large pharmaceutical and medical device companies. By nature, we are regulatory scientists, and what we do is fit for purpose a team to help address unmet needs of our clients.
Okay. Excellent. And I know our paths crossed over a real estate transaction several years ago, and it's been great getting a chance to know you and to know about your organization. And you have such a strong background in life sciences and medical device. You and your husband, who is also a co-founder of your company. Over the lifespan of your company and also generally your career, could you talk a little bit about the evolution of life sciences in general and more specifically in Pittsburgh and maybe some of the changes that you've seen over that time period?
Oh, yeah. So over 30 years that I've been in the business, and I've started shaving a few years off now, so it's over 30 years. I've witnessed a great deal of change that I can summarize in 5 key areas, Ed. And the first and foremost is, the requirement to implement electronic health records in hospitals and healthcare systems.
Yeah.
That really has set the stage for the digital age and the transformation in data. And the second is that growth in digital age and transformation. So, with the advent of automation and seamless transfer of data between disparate systems, we really now have this patient centricity. And the whole idea of patients being able to wear wearables and patient monitoring tools. So it's the idea of what consumers are actually using to harness those data. And what's kind of stepped up a little bit too is how consumers purchase their own healthcare, and that patient data is a hot commodity. But not only the digital age, it's also helped compress time and improve efficiencies. And this has really been an accelerated area. But third, there's like 5 points. The third is our acknowledgement of several decades of multiple failures of clinical trials, especially in phase 3 settings. So it's been well known that we've had a past reproducibility problem in research and wasted billions of taxpayer dollars. That is, to take animal testing and data and translate those data into humans, only to learn after many millions of dollars later that a drug didn't prove what it needed to do. Okay. So we've seen, a lot of transformation there. So many studies compete for the same patients, yet only a small fraction of patients in the US actually participate in research. And then the fourth thing is that the industry's self-reflection of costs and burden to bring a drug or device to market has been recognized by a wide variety of stakeholders like regulators, investors, drug and device developers. And that scrutiny is really what has transformed the way that we design clinical trials today. So a lot of the methodology has been outdated. In fact, world famous statisticians have often criticized the use of this thing called p-values in the way that we do research. And wouldn't you know that Janet Woodcock from the FDA famously said about 4 or 5 years ago that clinical trials are broken. And so it's an enterprise for which in no other country or in no other industry, rather, we would have such an abysmal failure. So for instance, if we build bridges, 9 of the 10 bridges would fail. Wow. And that's kind of what the association is in research. And then fifth really is the point number 5 is the new regulations.
Okay.
So over probably 20 years, we've seen HIPAA and high tech, and then in 2016, the passage of the 21st Century Cures Act. The US FDA has been at the forefront considering all of these 4 points, looking back in time and showing that, boy, we've really done a terrible job in research. And let's really think of new ways to harness real world data and step up the engagement with the stakeholders who have to work together. So the tipping point in research was really well ahead of the COVID pandemic. And a lot of people don't recognize that those indicators were already there.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you talk a lot about technology and the impact that it's had on the overall industry, and that makes a lot of sense as it's had an impact throughout, a myriad of different industries. So life sciences is no different with that. With all of that said, and those 5 points that you laid out, sitting here today, October 2021, and working with your clients, what areas do you think are the most challenging for them now, and maybe looking out at the crystal ball over the next 6 to 12 months or so? What challenges do you find that most of your clients are faced with that you can help them with right now?
I think the first trend I've seen over the years is for those really complex technologies or therapies
Hmm.
to be much less favored over medical products that have a lower risk or lower thresholds to be cleared or approved. A couple of other things that I'm seeing is the development of a new medical product that would provide for a reduction of healthcare costs
Hmm.
in the shortest amount of time that requires the least amount of money to attract funding. That is huge. That's really important to have that value proposition. It needs to be very big these days in order to raise the funding. And then we also have our clients ask us the quickest way to show enough evidence that their medical product works at the lowest cost to attract a strategic for acquisition.
Hmm.
So really, some of the things that have plagued the industry for the last 3 decades are still around. It's cost and time are
Yeah.
still the major factor, but now that we have more receptive regulators, especially in the United States, to approach about new ways of using data, we can help reduce those burdens and reduce time to market.
Good. That's excellent. Yeah, that's good utilization of that technology and
Mhm.
different channels for that. Just to kind of take a step back and look at more of from a macro standpoint, if you will, for life sciences and medical device firms within our region being Western Pennsylvania. The same questions I asked Evan Thatcher in the last newsletter. From your perspective, Alethea, what are some of the challenges that the Western Pennsylvania region may face currently in terms of becoming an area where these types of companies would want to locate? And then conversely, you can sing our praises a little bit as a region too. What do you think that we're doing well?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some of the most impressive scientists in the region. We are well funded by the government with NIH grants. And so we've got incredible know-how in the region. But what's
Mhm.
difficult for us to do is translate that from academia into industry. And
Right.
so there's often a talent shortage, and it's been well known throughout the United States. In fact, we've oftentimes offshored a lot of the talent to Europe or India or other regions. But I think one of the striking things about the Pittsburgh region is the cost of living. We are a fraction of the cost of living of a San Francisco or California or Boston or even DC. And
Right.
so we can really attract, the right types of folks to stay here after they complete their master's degree or PhDs. And I believe it's a huge burgeoning life sciences sector here in the area.
Yeah, that's great. I know Paul Horn and I, my partner, obviously, Paul, we did have an opportunity actually to provide an overview and a comparison between Pittsburgh, Boston, and San Francisco for the Pittsburgh Robotics Institute a
Mhm.
couple of years ago, and it was striking, really, not only the cost of the commercial real estate, but also all those things that you mentioned, those ancillary costs and general cost of living statistics.
Yeah.
Basically the thought process was everybody in the room doing business in Pittsburgh right now, you're making the right choice for a lot of those reasons. So,
Mhm.
and hoping to recruit and retain talent. So I'm sure it's the same in your industry as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, well, we really appreciate your time and insight. I guess in closing, looking out again for the Pittsburgh region in general, Western Pennsylvania, moving forward, any other words of advice and ways that the region could position itself maybe a little bit better in terms of moving forward and developing business here?
Yeah, I mean, I really see a future of collaboration with the
Yeah.
universities. And in fact, my firm and members of my team often are invited to teach or guest lecture. And, because of the shortage of talent nationwide in scientific writing, regulatory science, data science, quality assurance, et cetera, I really view, this next chapter in Pittsburgh's, the next decades, for instance, for us to really collaborate and kind of
Mhm.
abandon the old ideas and the old silos in the region and really truly aspire to bring more jobs and attract life sciences companies to the region.
Yep, seems like we're poised very well. And as a native Pittsburgher, I beam with pride when I read some of the news articles out there about Pittsburgh for this particular discipline. In addition to everything that's happening with AI and robotics and technology. So, well, excellent. Well, thanks again for the insight, Alethea. Again, from
Thank
a
you.
personal standpoint, it's been a joy to get to know you over the years, and can't thank you enough for your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Ed.
All right, take care.